Welcome class. Today we're going to work on lesson 15 from unit 3, finding this percent of that. Before we get started, I want to show you something that some of you may know but others might not have realized. When we want to change a percent to a decimal, we just think about 35%. Well, we know that 35 has the decimal at the end. So if we want to change it to a decimal number, we need to move it twice to the left. So it would be 0.35 as a decimal. Now if we wanted to change a decimal, say we have 0.45 to a percent, we would do the decimal the opposite way. So we would take it and move it 2 places to the right, making it 45%. Alright, so now I want you to pause. So stop the video, stop, and work on 15.1. Take about 2 to 3 minutes and then come back to the video. Alright, welcome back. We are going to go over 15.1, number talk decimals. Find the value of each expression mentally. So if you were to look at this, it's 0.23 times 100. So you can think about it as 23% of 100. Well, we know 23% of 100 is just 23. Now 50 over 100, we can kind of think of that as a fraction, 50 over 100. We know that's equal to 1/2. 145 over times 1 over 100. Well, again, we can think of it as a fraction, 145 over 100. We know that that would simplify to be 1/45 over 100, or 1, and if you divide it by 5, we would get 9 over 20, and we wouldn't be able to simplify it anymore. And then the last one, 7 over 100. Well, this one we can't simplify. All right, now moving on to 15.2, audience size. At school, or a school, held several evening activities last month. A music concert, a basketball game, a drama play, and literacy night. The music concert was attended by 250 people. How many people came to each of the other activities? So now again, I want you to stop the video, pause it, take your time, answer questions 1 through 3, and then come back. All right, we're now going to go over 15.2, audience size. So, attendance at a basketball game was 30% of attendance at the concert. Well, we know that the concert was 250 people. So there are multiple ways you can solve this. You can do a double number line, or you can set up the proportions that I've showed you. For me, I think I would probably set up the proportion, whichever you prefer though. So I need to find 30% of 250. So I can set up my proportion. I know that it's always percent over 100 is equal to the part over the whole. Well, the whole amount was 250. And this is what we're looking for. So if we do 250 times 30 and divide by 100, we get 75 people. Another way you could have done it is you could have just simply said 30% times 250, because we just want to know what 30% times 250 is. So 30% in your calculator times 250, 75 as well. Just maybe try it 1 or 2 ways if you're not sure if your answer is correct. Okay. Number 2, attendance at the drama play was 140% of attendance at the concert. Okay, so we know attendance at the concert was 250 people. So I would probably do a number line for this one. I know that at 100%, if we have our attendance people, all right, and our percent, okay, we knew that 250 were at the concert, and that is 100% of the people. Okay, so we need to figure out, well, how can we get to 140%? What intervals could we go in? So if we went in intervals of 20s, since we want to get to 40%, we need to figure out how much it counts up by 20%. So we know that this would be 80, 60, 40, 20%, and 0 at the beginning. Okay, so then I would realize, well, there are 5 20% in 100%. So I divided 250 by 5, and I got that the intervals were going up by 50. So this would be 50, 100, 150, 200. Okay? Then what I would do is come over here, 120%, kind of keep going by 20s, 140%. So adding 50 again, we get 300, we get 350 here. So that would mean that 350 people were at the drama play. Or again, you could have done a proportion, which would have taken you a lot less time on this one. So we're looking for 140%. Remember, 100% always goes on the bottom. We know there was a total of 250 at the concert, so we need X amount here. So again, if you do your cross multiplying and dividing, so 140 times 250 divided by 100, you would get 350 people in attendance. So we got it 2 different ways. All right, number 3. Attendance at literacy night was 44% of attendance at the concert. So since this one is kind of, we would have to do a lot of intervals for the double number line, I would just use the proportion for this one. Or again, like here, if we do 44% times the amount of people is 250, so 44% times 250 is 110. So that would be 110 people in attendance. We'll say that your calculator doesn't have a percent sign. So remember, 44% is the same as 0.44 as a decimal. So we could say 0.44 times 250 as well. So 0.44 times, or 44 hundredths times 250 would be 110 again. All right. So that is our answers for the audience size. We are going to skip the Are You Ready for More? But if you would like to go back and try that later, you may do so. All right, so 15.3. Again, I want you to pause the video here, and I want you to complete them on your own. So stop the video for as long as you need to complete them on your own. All right, 15.3. Everything is on sale. During a sale, every item in a store is 80% of its regular price. If the regular price of a t-shirt is $10, what is its sale price? Well, I can do 80% times 10, which would equal $8. Or remember, I could have done 0.80 times 10, which would also equal $8. The regular price of 5 items are shown here. Find the sale price of each item. So again, we're finding 80% of each of these numbers. So I would say 80% times 1, which would be 80 cents. I would say 80% times 4, which would be $3.20. Remember, your answer might say 3.2, but remember to change it to money, we need to say $3.20. Then we just found out 80% of $10 is actually $8. Then we would say 80% times 55 is $44. 80% times 120 is $96. All right, number 3, you found 80% of many values. Was there a process that you repeated over and over to find the sale price? If so, describe it here. So basically, we knew that 80%, the total price was 100. The sale price was that you would get 20% off and pay 80%, right? So we knew that all you really had to do was to multiply the number times 80%. Or basically you could have divided scratch that. So multiplied by 80% or multiplied by the 0.8 decimal. So if you want to describe your process however you did it here, that's great. They used tape diagrams, we used proportions, we used multiplication, so whatever you would like to say here. Number 4, which of the following expressions could be used to find 80% of x? Be prepared to explain your reasoning. So 80% of x, we know that 80 over 100 is 80%, okay? So if I were to simplify this, remember we said that this would simplify 8 over 10, which would also simplify to be 4 over 5, okay? So basically what we did each time was we multiplied 80% times the number we had. So we can use any of these because all of these end up coming back to be 80 over 100. They are equivalent fractions. So we're going to go through and look for that. So 8 over 100, no, that's not the same. 80 over 100 times x, 8 over 10. 4 over 10 is not the same. 8 over 5, that's not going to be the same. 4/5 times x is the same. 80 times x. Now remember, I talked to you about this. If you do 80 times x, you have to put 80%. If you just did 80 times x, that would be incorrect. 8 times x, that would not work. The last two, we have 0.8 times x. Remember, that's how you change it to a decimal. Okay, so 0.8 means 80%, and 0.08, that's still only 8% of 100, so that's not correct. All right, I know that was a lot. Now you're going to work on your extra practice, and if you have any questions, just let me know tomorrow.